Good evening, Facebook land and tunedinradio.us, and I guess eventually YouTube. This is 3 days after Christmas. And this evening, our guest is Carie Varner with Real Fun Studios, and I guess she's real fun.
But I am real fun.
But we'll see shortly. And we have Gabe over here with Powerhouse Studios, and I was looking back at pictures from Christmas last year, since we didn't have the thing at the shop this year, Gabe, and I still want to get some pictures, some prints. So I guess I'm gonna have to go back and look and pick out and say, hey, Gabe, print them.
Yes, you will.
Yes, I will. If you have any requests for questions, can you look on the studio at tunedinradio.us? Or okay, so we can do that, and then Facebook Live, put your questions in there, and then if you have an email for me, go to Susan at tunedinradio.us and ask any questions or give me guests or, that kind of thing. Of course, people can find me at my shop. I have lots of events, and I'm going to try to go through them real quick because I think Carrie's got lots of stuff, and we're going to run out of time probably. So I'm going to go real quick here. Museum Center at 5 Points is having the Old Christmas, and they're doing the Facebook and YouTube daily updates telling us about Old Christmas, which is January 6th. And if you look at their December 26th post, it explains what the Old Christmas is all about. And it's a religious holiday type thing, and it's really cool. It would take way too long for me to explain it now. So go to the Museum at 5 Points on their Facebook. And they will tell you what the Old Christmas is all about. And it's something they do every year, and usually January 6th they have a live, but they're doing virtual once a day between now and January 6th, because usually they have this big FUPA party thing. Today and until next Monday, the downtown lights are still there, and you have got to see them. They are awesome. If you haven't gone at night to see the downtown lights, they're gorgeous. You can visit Cleveland TN on Facebook, and they have a video, but it doesn't do justice. And you could walk with your honey and go to the First Street Square or the Courthouse Square, and the lights are just awesome. Speaking of lights, there is also Bradley Lights, and I contacted them today. They said they're doing through New Year's Eve, and it's a residential display down on Blue Springs Road. It's a corner lot. If you go down Blue Springs Road, go under the overpass and go about 1.5 miles. Have you gone to that, Carie?
I have. I have not this year, but we have gone in past years, and it's always super fun.
It was interesting because you go on the old Federal Road, and usually you have to get in line to get into the parking lot, and then you get like 3 deep, and you move up, and they ask that you listen to about three songs and then go out, and they are taking the donations for the caring place, so they have a little basket on the way out,
and that's a good cause too. So
yeah, I love the caring place. And they also are letting people, there's a garland marked off area, so some of the kids and stuff got out and walked up closer. So that's a neat thing about this year. So that there's 2 lights things you can do through, one of them through next Monday, and then one of them through New Year's Eve. And I guess maybe Bradley Lights, if you want to go after New Year's Eve, check on Facebook, and they have their whole big spiel there and what to do. The Artist Here Partnership mural, the artist I and myself are working on the mural for the back of my shop. And you can go to the artistibayliss@gmail.com to get your block. And what we're doing is we're doing a quilt on the back of my shop, big mural, and we're asking for donations for the Artists Here Partnership.
Oh, that's fun.
So we're selling the selling the blocks for so much per block and so much per square, and earning, hopefully, our goal is $1,500 for the partnership. So that'd be cool. The Red Clay Historic Park is offering creative individuals the opportunity to expand their portfolios while enriching the lives of others. The submissions are accepted. They've been accepting them, but through December 31st, guidelines are that each piece of art must relate to red clay, Cherokee history, or the Trail of Tears. You don't have any of those?
No, I do, but those are that stuff's always very close to the heart. And
they will accept a variety of mediums, including film, painting, drawing, sculpture, photography, or as other visual media. And then the submissions will be reviewed, and the winners will be chosen January 14th, and then a gallery will be set up, and the formal showing will be held in February, and the selected artwork will be on temporary exhibit at the Red Clay Park Sunroom until August. So if somebody got selected, they'd be there for a while.
Yeah, that's a good run.
Yeah. AR Workshop, they don't have any events this week, but they are doing some team building holiday events that have been, if you've had something canceled or postponed, they can ship you a kit out and lead your group through a virtual workshop. So that'd be kind of fun to do some AR Workshop things. Then, let me see. Of course, the library has all their things all week. Origami and their Wednesday crafts for everyone and a couple other things. And we are actually down to, I talked fast, so the whole page full. So now we have Carie Varner with Real Fun Studios. And I read what Real Fun Studios was. It's both you and your husband.
It's a family affair.
Okay.
So it's my husband is an author. He does a lot of different writing. I'm a visual artist, and then my daughter also participates in the studio. So every once in a while on my different social medias, there will be an 11-year-old artwork.
Okay. So anyway, I took this from Real Fun Studios. Carie works in oil paint to create unique images of pop culture and popular science fiction creatures. And so any Star Wars, or do you do Star Trek?
Oh, I'm a Trekkie.
I'm a Trekkie too.
All right.
Cool. All right. We're
good.
On good. Okay. And then your husband does writes, and he's written a book on RPG gaming theory.
Role-playing games.
Role-play game. I didn't know what RPG. Okay. All right. Rick's over there laughing. The only thing I play is Township, and I'm addicted. Yes. Hi, my name is Susan. I'm addicted to Township. So you go there, you find all kinds of things, paintings, prints, prose, all
just
real
everything.
Fun.
We have a lot of stuff.
Real fun.
It's real fun. So we're going to ask you, I'm going to ask you the question like I ask everybody first question.
All right,
is,
let's go.
How did you get into your art?
Well, there's a couple steps to that. My mother is an artist.
Okay.
And so like some of my very first memories were her painting at my grandmother's kitchen table, Bob Ross style paintings. And I can always remember being amazed how she just would create this entire world on a canvas. And then I got a little older and became an annoying kid, because that's what you do. And I kind of dropped.
You're supposed to it too.
Absolutely. You go through phases. And when I turned about 14, 15, my grandmother decided that if I was going to be drawing comic books, because that's kind of where my art had led me to, that I needed to be able to also oil paint. And so she, at the local art league in the town I was growing up, she got me lessons, and I started oil painting, and I loved it. Oil paint is such an amazing medium. There is
Why?
Oh gosh. There's a permanency to it. Like, you feel, at least for myself anyway, I feel connected to the old masters when I'm painting oils, because even though the paints aren't quite the same, the brushes aren't quite the same, I buy my canvas at Michael's, but I'm doing the same thing that, Van Gogh did. And it's humbling, but it also is this giant ego feed at the same time. And there's something that really makes you feel alive when you create a piece of art and it comes out the way it's supposed to. Then suddenly you're like, it's creating a piece of magic that you can share with the rest of the world, and it's really awesome.
Okay, so you said something about Van Gogh. Who is your most favorite oil painter?
Oh, okay. Oil painter would be Van Gogh. Absolutely. He had a mastery of color that has never been matched. Ever. Like he is just, and he was able to see the world in such a unique way, and not only see it in that way, but he was able to present the world he saw, which a lot of people can't do. Right. And so it's fantastic. My favorite non-oil painter, and I'm not even sure, he did do some oil paints too, but his oil painting isn't one, there's an artist called Albrecht Dürer. Okay. Sure.
Oh,
okay.
Rick corrected and said pronounce it different.
I've never heard his name. I've only read it. So, but he does these amazing ink work and etching, and all his line work is so detailed. And there's an image of his where someone described to him what a rhinoceros looked like. He had never seen one before.
Oh wow! And
it's fantastic because you go, yeah, that's a rhinoceros if no one had ever actually seen one before. Like, because it's got armor and, it's fantastic. It's so good.
So she really likes him.
I do.
Okay, so you went, so you started drawing cartoon or comic books when?
I seriously started, okay, I'm going to out myself a little bit. I am a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan. And when that came out, I lost my mind. And I started drawing Ninja Turtles. And I started doing all this research into Ninja Turtles. And I looked up and found the original comic books, which are not for kids. And, like the first issue, like they kill 17 people. You're like, whoa, this is not the cartoon. And I loved it. And so I started drawing these really dark, gritty comic book characters.
So you came up with your own characters instead of copying other characters?
Sometimes you do a little bit of both. There is value in learning from other people's art.
Right.
Like I know a lot of artists sometimes feel like if it didn't come completely out of my head, it's not my art. And that's not true. Like the greats used models.
Right.
Like, like there's nothing wrong with using references, as long as you make it your own.
Right. So you did both.
Yeah,
Do you have any of your comics with you?
I don't, because I haven't done comic books since I started oil painting, really.
Oh, okay.
So it's been many, many years. But I do oil paint, I do watercolor, I do a lot of illustration. I have, in the past decade, I have found that I really enjoy doing a combination of found art. So there's a story here.
Okay, explain found art to people who don't know what found art is.
Found art is I found this thing on the ground and I thought it looked cool, so I made it into art. I mean, basically, that's what it is.
And that's how my husband makes his living.
Hey.
Because he has a Etsy store and people buy all kinds of junk.
But some of it is fantastic.
Right.
Some of it is art and some of it's junk. Found art is really difficult to do.
But some of the stuff I've seen people do is amazing.
Right.
Yes.
And so I'm going to backtrack. 11 years ago, I had my daughter, Dakota. And Dakota was born with a cleft lip and a cleft palate. And we knew, like, they were able to tell while she was still in my belly that was going on. So we were all prepared and all that. But it's a little startling when you see a baby with a giant hole in her face.
Right.
But like her smile was so big. It was fantastic. Like there was like something almost magical about that. Like her smile was so big. And, but I became fascinated with people's reactions to imperfect faces because I would have my baby with me, and I was so proud, because we tried so hard to have her. And so I'm like, this is my baby. Look at how beautiful she is. And people would either want to touch her face or they would be repelled. And, and the first reaction, I was like, don't touch my baby, stop. But the other reaction was like, how dare you be repelled by my beautiful child just because her face isn't perfect, does it, And as an artist, I found that there was only those two reactions. Like, no one ever went, meh. Like, there was never any, like, whatever reaction. It was always, like, fascination or they were repelled by her. And so I became really fascinated. So I started collecting porcelain dolls. And then I would take these porcelain dolls, and I would take a hammer to them.
So that's what this doll...
Yes, she is one of my dreadful dolls. And I would take a hammer to it, and I would break their face, and there is nothing more satisfying than breaking a porcelain doll with a hammer. It is fascinating to do.
And I don't know
she leans crooked. Don't worry, she's okay.
She's not gonna fall over backwards.
And if she does, that just adds to it.
Okay, I can't break her because she's already broken.
Exactly. And I would take the broken doll pieces and I would glue them back together slightly skewed. Like this doll, I actually flip the eyes upside down so they don't fit right in the sockets. So it looks like she's like peeking. If you look at her, like it looks like she's got a mask on and is peeking out. Like this is my favorite one I've done. And so I did all these dolls, and I had an exhibit where I put them out in a room, and people would walk into the room and they would either go, oh, that's fantastic, and they'd want to touch the dolls, or they go, nope, and they'd run out of the room. Like, and it was only those two reactions. Like,
wow. Nobody
walked in and went, and so like it was really a neat.
So it was a reaction.
Yeah,
and it was emotional.
Absolutely, it was. But the problem was when I was done with that exhibit, I had 20 porcelain dolls that were all broken sitting in my studio staring at me, and that's a little unsettling. even though I like them, I was like, okay. So I had a friend who suggested I do some illustrations, and eventually we ended up making a coloring book. So
coloring book for adults with dreadful dolls.
Yes. So it's
so where can you get this?
If you go to realfunstudios.com, it will take you to my Lulu page, and you can order it through there. And I have some as well if you want to contact me.
And who did you design this with?
So I did all of the artwork, and my husband did all of the stories inside.
The spooky stories.
So each doll has its own spooky origin story.
Well, some of these are cute.
Not until you read the story.
Well, I'm not going to read the story. But actually, this one with no face is kind of...
Yeah, like I was really excited.
Is that a good... Can you see it? Where do I need to go?
So a lot of my art tends to be smaller, and that's because I like for people to be able to afford it. Like, I would love to be able to paint a giant painting and charge thousands and thousands of dollars for it, but I also want people to be able to, have it. I don't want to keep my art. I want it to go out into the world. Yeah.
Coloring and storybook for adults. So it's an X-rated coloring.
It's not X-rated, but
it's gruesome. You don't want to.
It's gruesome. Yes, it is gruesome, and some kids don't like that kind of stuff. So.
Well, here's a doll with the guts coming out.
Oh, that was we had a guest artist. We hit our goal on the Kickstarter, so we had J.R. Mounts did a story and did a drawing for it.
Okay, so we can get these coloring books.
Yeah.
And that came from the dolls.
Yes, and so that came... A lot of my art kind of evolves.
Has another reason.
Yeah, or it came from something... Yeah, like there's lots of steps to all my art.
Michelle Davis says it's the wow factor that is so rewarding with art.
Yes. Yeah, when you finish it, it's like... It's so good.
Yeah, and then Wanda says hello. So Wanda's here this evening. Hi. Wanda. We got anybody else?
No, those are the two I've got.
Yeah, I don't know.
Then you two are my favorites.
Okay.
So after I was doing the oil paint at the Art League, I eventually went to the American Academy of Art in Chicago. I have a degree in life drawing,
Okay.
and I have a minor in sculpture. Sorry, someone's like sneaking in. And I don't really do much with the sculpture anymore because, it's hard to do sculpture just because of money and,
Yeah. So
and room.
what kind of sculpture did you?
I was doing figurative sculpture.
Okay. So
I do
that's
have
hard.
It's not worth it if it's not hard. You gotta push yourself. I actually have a sculpture up at the VNA Hospital in Valparaiso, Indiana. I did they were opening up a new hospice center, and they had put out word that they needed an artist, and I had just graduated from college, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is right up my alley. And so I have a sculpture in an actual building, so that's kind of cool.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
So you went to you learned oils while you were a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
And then you went to college, majored in art?
Yes, yeah. I majored in life drawing.
Oh.
So I saw.
What were you going to do when you got out of school?
I don't know.
Life drawing?
I don't know. Like there was like I had all these fantastic ideas that I was going to, learn the human form, and then people were just going to give me money. I don't know. Like you
were going to illustrate textbooks.
Maybe. I don't know. I do not regret my degree at all. I do regret not taking more illustration classes.
Okay.
Because illustration is at least marketable. I focused a lot on the fine art, which is wonderful, but that doesn't feed you, and I do like to eat.
Right. So that's one reason why I like to support artists in town, and like Isaiah, and the mural we're doing.
Yes.
And
We got a couple of more comments.
okay.
One from Michael Miller that says hello.
Oh, hi, Mike.
You know him?
I do.
And then another one from Ryan Percelli. The coloring book was a lot of fun to work on, and the web gives him your website.
Oh, okay.
That's her.
Thank you, dear.
That's her husband, and he's the one that did the writing part.
Yes.
And that's an art too.
Oh, absolutely.
So, heads up, I'm going to have you on here sometime. and most writers are camera shy.
No, he won't be.
Oh, good.
You're good.
Good. So
you have my permission to give him a hard time, whatever you need.
So he's gonna ask some.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now he's got hard questions. He's gonna ask. Maybe.
no.
We'll see. We got hard questions or not. Okay, I did see one thing on your Facebook page that I had no idea what it was.
Okay.
And wondering if I could get involved in it.
Oh dear. Okay, here we go. Let's see.
The Patreon celebration.
All right. So I have there is a website. It's called Patreon, and if you, it's made so that an artist can set up a page, and then they can have I believe it's 41 patrons right now. So I have 41 people that give me a donation every month to support my art.
Oh, so Patreon is somebody goes on there and they become a patron.
They become a patron, like a patron of the arts. It's fantastic. The idea is wonderful, and I don't know that I would still be doing art right now if it wasn't for my patrons on my Patreon, because not only is it monetarily helping me, but it's so supportive to know that I've got 41 people that have my back every month.
So it's
fantastic.
emotional support.
Oh
too.
yeah, absolutely. I love my patrons so much. And like there's different levels. Like, you know, I give shout outs on my Facebook page to people if they become a patron. At certain levels, I email original art to them every month. Or I do a lot of postcards.
I saw the postcards thing and I said,
So I promised my patrons that if I hit 40 patrons, that I would take all of their ideas. Like, I said, you each get to give me an idea for what you want on this postcard. And I'm going to make a postcard that is going to be ridiculous and have a bazillion things on it.
So it's going to have 40 ideas.
Well, it didn't quite have 40 because some people doubled up on things, but like it ended up like Chewbacca holding a swan with a giant frog with tattoos. Like it was crazy, but it was super fun to do.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I've learned something, and there's stuff out there to support artists other than just locally. That's cool. So, who is Michael Miller?
He is one of my patrons.
Oh, okay. Because it's not the Michael Miller I know, because there's a Michael Miller that makes fabric.
Oh, yeah, no. I mean, maybe, I don't know.
If he is.
Mike, do you make fabric that I don't know about? Maybe he does.
And he has submitted a comment saying that her postcards and prints are amazing.
Well, we're fixing to see some postcards and prints. I think I'm going to stop right here for just a minute, give you a breath, and I'm going to do my weekly craft tip.
Oh, I want to hear this.
Because we do that once a week, usually after the bottom of the hour commercials, but we need some sponsors to do the commercials. So anybody out there that wants to sponsor this program, get with Rick, Tuned In Radio Studio at tunedinradio.us and let us know. But the weekly craft tip kind of overlaps a few things. And what it is for interior design or quilting or art. And you get popsicle sticks and you paint the popsicle sticks with the color of paint that you're using with whatever you're making. So if you've got a bedroom wall that you're wanting to make a quilt to go with, paint the popsicle stick with that paint and take it with you when you go and buy your fabric. Or carry it to match your furniture. Or carry it to match your curtain fabric. So when you do interior design, you get your paint sticks, and if you have two different colors in that room or your whole house, you can have a whole bunch of them right on the back, because it's got all this room on the back, right there, which room it is, what you're looking for. You could even write the brand and the color number, name of the color on the back for the paint. You can keep those, so if you have to get the paint made again,
that's the worst. That is the worst when you don't have those numbers.
I have people all the time come into the shop and they go, well, my walls are beige. And then I take them over to the beige shelf and there's 15 beiges and they go, well, I don't know. How am I going to match it? Well, who knows? So that, when you're trying to match, you need to have a piece of what you're trying to match.
Yeah.
So if you go in a brand new room, you have your paint and you can go use that for a drop-off spot to match your furniture, your draperies, your linens, your whole thing. And you have the little thing that big that can fit in your pocket or your purse. So
that's even great because a lot of times people be like, I want something to match my couch. And I'm like,
yes.
What? Okay, I'll do my best,
But I either have to have a picture, but then the pictures are not necessarily
right. So yeah, we better make sure that this works, right?
Go under the couch and get a piece of fabric that's up underneath and bring it in. Mm-hmm. Cut your furniture up so you can bring it in.
Hey, suffer for your art.
It's funny because people don't realize that there's so many colors. The shelves are unbelievable at my shop, and what brought it home to me years ago, how many colors of each thing was when I went to Atlanta to the fire truck. They make fire trucks down in Atlanta.
Okay.
And they had 268 colors of red.
That's great. right.
So people come in and they say, well, I need a red to go in my quilt. I said, well, where's your scrap? And they go, well, I don't remember which red. So I throw 4 reds out there and they go, oh,
Yeah.
I have to come back. So you either bring a piece of fabric or bring a paint stick. And that's the weekly craft tip.
All right, there we go.
And I'm going to go ahead and announce the segment for next week because I think we're going to run up right to the end of the time because we'll see the time and he'll have to go cut. But the segment next week will be David Shearer, and he is fine art and he does emotional art. It is his focus, but he does fine art and then emotional art. So he will talk to us probably. He and I might get in some deep philosophical, emotional discussions about how art helps with therapy. But
yeah, that could be a pretty intense
I don't know
topic.
if you've seen. Have you seen his stuff?
I think I have. Did he show at Hetzel?
He did show
Then
at
yes.
Hetzel. Yes.
Then yeah.
Yes. So okay.
Shout out to Hetzel Gallery.
Yeah, they were so neat last week. I watched most everyone. A couple of them I missed because it was such a busy week last week.
Yeah, it was. It was a crazy week.
I was Christmas Eve. I was still doing stuff. So we're gonna go back to your art and where we were talking about.
Well, would you like to see some oil paint, some watercolor? I have a wood print.
Let's look at the postcards because we were talking about the patrons and the postcards.
All right. Well, so those are I actually just did those last night.
This?
Yeah.
You had one similar to that on your site then? Or
Yes.
You just posted it?
I just posted that one.
Okay. Is it shiny too much?
Yeah, it is in plastic. It might be shiny.
No, I can
I got it?
All right.
Okay. So that's
move the postcards more towards the doll's middle, right there.
right there. Okay. And as you can see, that's postcard size. And that is amazing. You can see the tree branches, and they're just little. So
watercolor used to terrify me. It's one of those mediums that if you don't get it, it's just a mess. And for a very, very long time, I didn't get it. So every time I would try, it was just terrible. And then one day, it suddenly clicked in my mind that if I thought of it as an illustration and not a fine art, that my mind could wrap around that better. And so I've kind of been swinging over to do more watercolors, but I always like to have ink on top of the watercolor.
So these fine branches are ink?
Yes.
So that's awesome. And I definitely would not send these through the U.S. Postal Service. Because they'd be sitting somewhere for weeks and weeks and weeks at a time right now.
I mean, I do. I don't send those with a stamp on the back. I put them in an envelope. But I send them.
Yeah, like that. I don't mean because if you send them with a stamp on the back, they might never get to the destination.
Well, I mean, they should technically. They have before when I send them. I've never had anyone.
No, I'm talking about if a stamp on the back and somebody sees the front.
I've never had anyone do that. I have sent a couple with the stamps on the back. I don't do that anymore just because one of them had to go all the way to California, and he was like, it got a little water damage, and I was like, okay, I won't do that again.
Yeah. So. But aren't these cool? Okay, so those are some of her postcards, and if you become a patron, then maybe down the road you'll get a postcard.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay, so that's watercolor.
And these are all watercolor.
Okay, we're going to stay with the watercolor, and this is the bee looks true to life other than the color.
There are actually blue bees.
Are there really?
Yeah, it's fascinating. I was so excited when I found out that I was like, I have to do one.
So this is true to life then. Now she comes and gives me a purple bee.
I don't believe there are purple bees.
There's nothing but purple.
No, I really enjoy learning things for my art. I love, I found out there was a blue bee, and I was like, then I'm gonna do a study of it.
Wow.
And because you always got to keep learning.
Okay, I'm gonna save these.
Okay.
Till probably last because
sure
this is not last, but this is awesome, and this I can absolutely tell is a watercolor. But it's got ink.
Yes.
So the trees are all ink. Mm-hmm. And some of the ground down here.
Yeah, just where I wanted to kind of pop it a little more.
So can you see that good, Gabe?
So I tend to work that I do the watercolor first, and then I put the ink on top of it. It's this great moment where you've got this soft watercolor, and as soon as you put that black ink on, it just like hits you. It's like, I'm here, and it's great.
Okay, and this
is at least fun to do.
This is a watercolor, and I don't know which is up, down. Does it matter?
No, this is up.
Okay. Of course, I don't know that.
I want to make sure that I just told you. Yeah, that's up. So I don't do a lot of like emotional art, like we were just talking, but every once in a while, I'll do what I call watercolor busting, where I just kind of put a bunch of different color watercolors and let them flow everywhere on the page, and I let it dry, and then I come back to it the next day and I pull images out of the watercolor. And so I wasn't planning on doing an octopus.
So what is that? His mouth right there?
Well, I'm sorry, I can't see. This is its eye, and they've got like a weird tube thing, and that's his head, and
that's his proboscis or whatever they call it, his mouth.
It's his octopusy thing, and
that's that technical term.
Yeah, absolutely. I learn a lot from my art, and but yeah, it's always really neat to be able to find images out of what's there. It's kind of like cloud busting when you lay on your back and you go, oh, there's a bunny, there's an elephant, right, or whatever. It's kind of like cloud busting, but with watercolors.
So what you did is you came back, the colors were there, and then you started outlining part of them, and then it became a octopus.
Yeah, I did not put any more watercolor on once I started the ink.
So that's cool.
It's really good for kind of like a stress relief, because if you mess it up, it's not a big deal,
Well, good. I'd be messing all of them up. Okay, so this is ink, right?
Yeah, this
so
is
we're going to do these
Sure.
are ink and watercolor. And tell me the name of this technique.
Well, the technique it's just an illustration using watercolor and ink.
And then it came from, tell me the whole story that you...
Okay, so I knew that I was going to be doing the last day for the Hetzel Art Gallery for their 12 Days of Artists. And I wanted to do something that was Christmassy, but I also wanted to do something that was unique and kind of me. Like I can paint Christmas trees, but like, people that know me, they're like, you're not gonna, and so I was like, I need to find something that's fun, a Christmas tradition that people don't know. And I came upon, it's called the Marilude. I'm not sure. It's either Lude or Lloyd. I'm not sure. And it is a Welsh tradition where they take horses' skulls and they decorate them and they put them on a pole, and they parade these horse skulls from door to door, and they carol with them.
So here's the other one. I don't know which I like best.
I kind of like the one with its mouth open because it looks like it's going, hey, everybody. But what's neat is there's this whole tradition where the people at the house are supposed to, like, it's almost like a Christmas rap battle where they go back and forth with these verses. And if you defeat the Mariloid, they have to go to another house. But if the Mariloid defeats you, you have to let him in with his group of men that are carrying around the staff, and you have to give them alcohol.
Okay.
It's a crazy, awesome.
So you could stand there for hours going back and forth with verses.
I guess.
Until somebody finally gave up and say,
fine, here, have some, or go away. Yeah. It was just, it's a really neat tradition. I always get really flustered when people are like, Christmas is all light. And I'm like, there's so much, like, think about the most famous Christmas story. Well, not the most famous Christmas story, but like Christmas Carol, or like Ebenezer Scrooge. Like, there's ghosts, and like the last ghost is death, and there's children dying and clinging, and it's like dark.
Yeah.
But no one ever goes, oh no, that's terrible. They all go, no, that's Christmas. That's part of the Christmas, is you've got to have that dark so the light shines brighter. And so I love the story of the Krampus, which is basically Santa Claus's shadow. I believe it's Germanic. It's from Germany.
Okay, I've never heard this story before. You have, Gabriel, right?
Yeah, the Krampus is cool.
Yeah, he is this horned hoof monster that goes around with a switch, and he basically beats bad children. And if you're really bad, he puts you in the basket that's on his back, and he'll take you home and cook you.
Oh my!
And he a lot of times in these in the old tales, he would work along with Santa Claus. So I do have a painting of the Krampus.
With you? Yeah. Oh, how cool is that?
So that's my version of the Krampus.
You like that, Gabe? Oh, I love that. That's for sale, is it?
Everything is for sale. I do not keep any of my art. I don't want it.
How many eggs do you want to trade for this?
How many eggs you want?
That's a lot of eggs. I don't know. We'll talk later.
3 years worth?
Oh my gosh. My husband would just be like, what are you doing?
Well, you would have free range eggs forever.
That would be a lot of eggs. But yeah, so I love doing unexpected things for holidays, and for just when people are like, the theme is this. I like.
So this guy is the antithesis to Santa Claus, and so this is where the bad girls and boys go.
Yeah, you don't want to misbehave because the Krampus will get you.
So this is a German.
I believe it's German.
Is it German? Do you know?
Yeah, Austrian.
Austrian.
Okay.
I figure he might know because he's.
There you go. All right.
Well, and this is oil.
Yes.
I like how you did the shadows here, because that's really cool.
I started my oils very traditionally, and I've gotten to the point now where I do them very thin. I use a lot of terp with my oils, and I almost, it's not quite a glaze, but it's a little bit like a glaze.
For those of you who are not artists, terp is turpentine.
It was my degree talking. No, yeah, turpentine. You use odorless turpentine. There's no reason to use the real stuff. It'll just give you a headache. If you're going to do oil paint, I should say.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So we've got watercolor. You've got your book, watercolor.
I have other oil paintings too, if you'd like to look at those.
Now that we went into the oil, let's do the oil, and we're going to keep this one towards the last.
Towards the last. Okay. So I stopped doing art for about 10 years after I got my degree, because I went, oh no one is hiring me to draw naked people. Oh no. And I got depressed. And then about 11 years ago, when I had my daughter, something changed in my mind, and I was like, I need to try painting again. And then when I started painting, everything was different. Like, I was using lots of bold, bright colors that I had never done. Like, I was a very traditional artist before, like very, subtle. And now, like, all of my art is really aggressive and bright colors, and my composition, like, I'm fascinated with negative space in pieces. Like,
so that's modern quilts too.
Is it?
Modern quilts are negative space.
Oh, I love negative space. Oh, they're so good. It's so good. Like, I'd rather see a painting that was done in mostly negative. Like, that's what fascinates me in paintings now. But I started. That's. So, my husband is a huge Star Wars fan. Huge Star Wars fan.
So you're a Trekkie and he's a Star Wars fan.
I know, right? My kid likes Doctor Who. It's weird. But so I started when I started back with the oil painting again, he asked me to do a Star Wars painting for him that did not look like a Star Wars painting that he could put up in his office. And so, like, the corporate people wouldn't be like, oh, please take the Star Wars painting down. But people that knew what it was would be like, haha, that's a secret painting. And so I did a bantha horn from Star Wars. I did a close-up of a bantha. And I used a lot of negative space in that because you have to if you're that close, you know. And I was like, oh, I really like this. I want to try another. And I've got like, I don't know, like 14 Star Wars paintings now, all with this like, you know, like the negative space going on and the real close-up cropped image for them. And I really enjoy doing my paintings like that now. So a lot of my paintings have that really close-up cropped and negative space in them.
So that's cool.
Okay.
This one's not, and it is thin, so it's not really thick. It doesn't have all the thickness of the oil on it. It's close.
Yeah.
It's close to watercolor, but not.
Yeah. So, I mean, some of them do. Like this one's a little thicker.
Ooh, I like that.
But like I very much enjoy seeing the medium and like what it's done on. So like where the right here, like you can actually see most of that is there's like actual canvas that hasn't been covered there. I enjoy if you want super realism, get a photographer. Like, you know, and that's not saying that photography is an art because I believe it is. 100% believe it is.
Yay,
But
Gabe.
but I also feel like, you know, like if you want realism, go to a photographer. If you want an oil painting, let me do an oil painting for you, or a watercolor or an illustration. You know, again, you know, like people that do realistic art, that's awesome. It's just not for me.
Well, I really like this. You know what it is, but it's not up in your face.
Yeah.
You and I have to get together about some realism because I do realism photography.
Excellent.
So.
Yeah, no, like that's
and
that's awesome.
He does other stuff too. Yeah.
Yay. Okay. Then I've got one more oil. This one's a bigger one. I don't tend to paint big, but sometimes I do.
Michael Miller says we're everywhere, and Wanda says wow. And my husband has joined us in the studio. Hello, Chris.
Hello, husband.
Oh, wow, this is big. Are you going to have to go out, aren't you?
Sorry.
Oh, that's all right.
No, actually, I have to zoom in a little.
So I actually took I took this photo that I used for a reference when I was taking pictures for the Dreadful Dolls book. When I was getting my reference for that, and I was like, you know, hey, lovely daughter, who I love so much, come pose for me. And she was like, no. And I was like, do it. You know, so what you're not seeing is I was yelling at her, and she was like, I didn't want to do this.
And she's got the little bit of a pout.
Yeah. But yeah, this is, you know, so I'm all over the place genre wise with what art I do. You know, I do cute little girls, I do bonfires, I do the Krampus, I do, you know, it's like
You do dolls.
yeah, I do dolls, I do, you know, pet portraits, you know, like I'm all over the place.
Ryan says you should have brought the book.
Bok. I don't have Bok.
He said you should have brought it.
No, I sold it. I don't know. He's forgetting that we sold it.
Oh,
I did. When Cleveland Workspace was here, there was a Cleveland themed show.
Which did you have a space in the Cleveland Workspace?
I did.
Which one?
Real Fun Studios.
No, I mean when you went in.
When you go in, I was the very first one on the left.
So I talked to you for an hour one day back then.
Okay.
Because they had open studio or something.
Yeah.
And it was but that was way back then and before I even knew I was going to do this show. But I talked to you for probably about an hour one day.
Okay. Yeah.
And you had some of your dolls there. So
Mhm.
now
you're
connecting the dots. Connecting the dots.
You're like, how many people are breaking dolls in this town? So I did a there was a Cleveland themed show there though, and so I made my husband hop in the car and we drove around trying to find like wacky Cleveland type stuff. So I painted Betsy's Well.
Okay.
What I imagined tall Betsy's Well would look like. And while we were looking to see if there was any wells near the school, there aren't. There aren't. We found a plaque that said, like, here lies Bok Bok, the meanest chicken to ever live in Tennessee, or something like that. It's bizarre. It was so bizarre. This is for real. This is for real.
So they have a headstone for a chicken.
If you go to like bokbok.com, he's got a website. It was like in the 1950s. This chicken would chase the children to school, and like there are people that claim to have Bok Bok scars from this chicken, and eventually when it died, somebody put up the owner, I guess, put up a marker for it. And but yeah, like there's a website for it and everything. So I painted what I assumed Bok Bok would look like. So it was this giant chicken and there were flames behind him, and it was, pretty intense.
Okay. All right. But let's see the ink, and then we're gonna we've got about 7 minutes?
2 minutes.
You're ending early, huh?
Oh no. I feel like I should grab my phone to check the time.
Well, this is an ink.
This is actually it's a print from a wood block. I carved it, put ink on it, and then pressed the paper.
Oh, okay. So this is a print, and there's more than one, and this is numbered 1 of 25.
Yes. So I was able to
say.
So that is a very classic image of a
Gothic.
His name is Varney the Vampire. He's one of the he was actually the idea of Varney the Vampire was actually before Dracula.
Right.
And like people say that he actually kind of is where Dark Shadows came from.
Oh, okay.
But so I just did, it was more of a study because I want to get into woodblock and printing, but the Gothic show was coming up. And so I wanted to do something with the theme for a Gothic show. So.
Okay. Tell us where to find your art.
Oh goodness. Okay. I am on Facebook under Real Fun Studios, and reel is spelled REEL, like a movie reel, or a fishing reel, if that will help you remember how to find it. I'm under Instagram for Real Fun Studios, Twitter for Real Fun Studios. My Patreon is under Carie Varner. I don't know why I didn't brand myself all the way there, but so there's that. I also, I'm sorry. I have a Twitch channel under Real Fun Studios, which means at about 2 to 3 times a week, I am doing art live, where I've got a camera on my page, and you can watch me and talk
Facebook.
No, it's not on Facebook. It's on Twitch.
Which something new today. I learned. See, it was good to get up. You learn
There
something
we go.
every day.
Yeah, no, Twitch is really amazing because it is a way again for me to reach my patrons and other people, and like you can subscribe to my channel on Twitch. I think it's like $5 a month. I don't remember what it is. And, that gives me a little bit of money, and it's kind of like you're putting on a TV. It's almost like being Bob Ross a little bit.
Oh, okay. So do you have anything at Hetzel?
Currently I do not, because in November, at the beginning of November, I got sick with COVID. And it really is awful, everybody. It's awful. And so like I'm just starting to get energized enough to start making new art. So when they were like the Bits and Pieces show, and I was like, I have nothing. But next show I will be.
She was supposed to be on the show beginning of November.
And I was like, I can't.
So you've got a Facebook page.
Yes.
You've got a YouTube channel.
I do not have a YouTube channel.
So you
She has a
got
Twitch channel.
you got Patreon,
I do.
and
I'm on Twitter.
Twitter,
And website.
and a website.
Yeah,
Yes.
because her husband.
Now, on your Twitch page, do you have a discourse?
I do have a Discord, yes. And we often on the Discord, there's a lot of like art conversations that go on, and we have there's a channel on my Discord where people will post their works and go, help me, and then everybody in the community, not just me, but everyone will be like, oh, we really like this, or maybe if you change the color here. And it's actually a really great little community. I'm really proud to have gathered those people together.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
So we appreciate you coming, and it's the end of the day.
It's the end.
And we will see everybody next week, and it will be David Shearer with fine art and emotional art. So we will be back then, same time, same channel.
All right.
Thank you.
See ya.